Timing issue?
Timing drift issue. Yeah, so basically the ignition timing, if you rev it up, and when it was cold, it was like 15 degrees off. It like warmed up and then went to where it's commanding to, and then you rev it up and it'll go to like -5 with the ignition timing locked at 15. So you got something goofy going on.
Is that cam? I don't know. Let me see.
What you got? A little bit of wobble.
We got, I don't think that's supposed to move that much. That's,
I don't think it can.
you think the cam's alright?
Yeah.
This is the life here. Diagnose.
Was it all the way in?
Yeah. You can see the pin rubbing on the cam on the inside of it. That just don't seem right.
Yeah, side to side play, but does it?
That's what I was grabbing.
Once it's like locked in there, it shouldn't have any rotational play.
That's what I was trying to see.
All right, what do we think is going on?
We think, allegedly, we need a new cast. Could be wrong. Could need some more diving, but got a pretty good hunch.
Kevin, what are you fixing?
I am installing a Street Series PRP crank and home trigger kit on this RB, and it hurts my head.
Could you explain what that thing does?
What this does is, before I had a CAS crank trigger system, it was just worn out, so ignition timing wasn't right at all anywhere. This gives more precise ignition timing control, basically. Crank and cam sensor were all driven off the exhaust cam gear. Don't mind the disorganization.
Everyone's working off the ground this week. This
Yeah.
is hilarious.
It's been a rough week, but we will be all right. Something ain't right.
Still no fix.
So the fix was, the first issue was that timing was drifting when you would rev the car up. So I would lock ignition timing at 15 degrees, check with timing light. It's got a Platinum Pro plug-in. Chucked it, got it to 15, and then you would go to rev the car, and then ignition would drift all the way to like -5 degrees, which is like something's
Turn
wrong.
this way so the music behind.
In the beginning, we thought it was the CAS, an issue with the CAS, because over time they just get worn out, and it's all driven by the exhaust cam, and they get worn out. Replaced that with the PRP Street Series crank and cam sensor, so it has two sensors in their own trigger wheel on the exhaust wheel. So it has a homing sensor, and then it has a crank sensor, 24, and then 24 -1 tooth. Installed that, same issue, and I was kind of scratching my head, and then I kind of like looked down into it, and I noticed there was like metal all over. It has an adjustable exhaust cam gear. There's metal all over it, and then I noticed that the bolt was like at the full retarded mark, and I was like, looks like all bolts are loose. So took it all off. That was it. The gear was loose, the adjustable cam gear was loose, and it was moving, and that would give it the ignition drift and also a mechanical cam timing drift. So it was moving around on it. Squared that away, got it back at TDC, retimed it, tightened it, Loctite, put it back together, set base time at 15, and then we're good to go now. And then now it's hitting the dyno tomorrow to tune it and be finished up from there. So this car's been down for 2 years, I think he said, for these issues, but wasn't here for 2 years. It was just down for 2 years, and then got to figure it out. I believe that's the case. So, got to drain the fuel out of it, put fresh gas in it, check the oil, check all the nonsense, tune it. So,
Catch
that'll be
you
next.
tomorrow.
Yes, sir. These don't make like stock turbo. They don't make any power.
No.
You want to go over like 12 pounds with the turbo, or else they explode. So I'm keeping it at like 10.
Issue seems fixed though.
Definitely,
Nice.
definitely.
What'd she make?
220.
Nice.
Stock turbo, 10 pounds.
Yeah.
It didn't need to make 1,000. You know, you wanted it to run good.
Well, it's about 3 or 4 weeks later. That thing's finally back out on the road. Well, technically it's been a couple years, but at least since we've had it. A couple weeks later of tweaking it, figuring out those issues and such. And now she's back out there. So Kevin's taking for a test drive real quick just to make sure everything's good, and then that's pretty much it.